In this video, we are diving deep into the new Flux update, Flux 1.1 Ultra and Raw. We will compare these two new models between each other and with another state-of-the-art AI image model, Recraft, previously known as Red Panda. I picked these models because they are currently on top of the Artificial Intelligence Arena leaderboard. The video will be in a prompt battle format for popular practical use cases. I will give the same prompt to all three models and judge the results. To minimize bias, another novice-level user will evaluate images too, completely separate from my ratings. For all three models, I will pick the first ever result without any reroll. For every comparison, models that successfully deliver the expected result will get 100 points. For every anatomical error, missing fingers, or distorted faces, I will deduct 50 points. At the end, I will share with you the final winner. First, quick introduction to new Flux models. Black Forest Labs released Flux 1.1 Ultra and Raw models, offering higher resolution and more realistic outputs. These two new models are upgrades to existing Flux 1.1 Pro. Ultra generates 4 megapixel images in less than 10 seconds without compromising prompt understanding, while Raw mode produces more natural-looking photography-like results, especially for humans and nature scenes. It's kinda similar to Stylize and Style Raw on Midjourney parameter ecosystem, where Ultra would be closer to Stylize and Raw would be closer to Style Raw. You can try these new models in variety of options online. I'm adding all links to the description down below. Now, let's start with prompt battle. First challenge is cinematic prompts. Purpose here to test how well image generators understand different camera angles and produces cinematic looking images. So we are mainly testing prompt understanding. The first prompt is close-up. Starting with Flux Ultra, I think it did a good job. This can be considered as extreme close-up too, but we will accept this and give 100 points. Flux Raw also did a very good job. This will definitely work out as a close-up. For this prompt, Recraft struggled a little bit. We cannot really consider this as a close-up. I think this is more closer to a medium shot. Therefore, from this prompt, we are not giving any points to Recraft. Next prompt is about low-angle shot. I think Flux Ultra did an okay job here. We can accept this as a low-angle shot. It is not exactly what was in my imagination, but we will accept this and give 100 points. This is for me textbook low-angle shot from Flux 1.1 Raw. This would normally get 100 points, but unfortunately we have to deduct 50 points due to the anatomical errors in the hand. We have some serious hand issues in this shot. I will also accept the outcome from Recraft as a low-angle shot, though we will again deduct 50 points due to both hand issues and the issues with the feet. Next prompt is about high-angle shot. Flux 1.1 Ultra did a fantastic job. This is a great high-angle shot and textbook. Would normally get 100 points, but again, I'm counting 6 fingers here, maybe even more. There's also some morphing between fingers, so that's why we will deduct 50 points from this outcome. Flux 1.1 Raw did a great job. It's definitely a high-angle shot and aesthetically really nice, but we have again finger issues, unfortunately, especially on the left hand. Recraft nailed with the high-angle shot, so great prompt understanding. I see only 3 fingers on the left hand. However, it can be also due to the camera angle, difficult to say. For this result, I will give 100 points to Recraft, because I cannot really fully say that there is a strong anatomical error. Next prompt is medium shot. Flux 1.1 Ultra did a good job. We could say this is a nice medium shot, slightly getting into the borders of close-up, but we could theoretically accept this as a medium shot. Anatomy is kinda okay. Left arm is kinda missing, but we could say that, okay, maybe it's not on the frame, so we could accept that. I am generally accepting this outcome from Flux 1.1 Ultra and giving 100 points. Flux 1.1 Raw unfortunately delivered a full body shot. This is not a medium shot and therefore gets 0 points. The image itself, though, I think it's really pretty. Same for Recraft. Medium shot is not here. This is a full body shot. And we have anatomical hand issues in both hands. So 0 point for Recraft here. The next prompt is about full body shots, and Flux Ultra delivers a medium shot, so gets 0 points. The skin realism is quite low. There's a quite strong airbrush effect. The skin looks almost perfect. Here's the outcome from Flux Raw, and it's not exactly a full body shot. It's closer to a medium shot. The main difference between Flux Ultra and Flux Raw is Flux Raw delivers higher realism. It's quite impressive. It almost feels like it's taken by a real camera. It brings imperfections back to the scene. It looks less like AI and less like stock photo, and therefore great result. Unfortunately, this is not a full body shot. Recraft also did a fantastic job. It looks extremely realistic. It is not perfect, but I will accept this as a full body shot because most of the body is on the frame. Generally, I will accept this and reward it with 100 points. The next prompt is about candid shot, and the whole purpose of candid shot is it must feel like subject is not aware of the camera, is not looking directly to camera, and it feels spontaneous. Flux 1.1 Ultra unfortunately didn't deliver this effect in the first try. The subject is directly looking at the camera, so therefore we cannot say this is a candid shot. Flux Raw nailed it. This is a textbook candid shot and exactly what we were looking for. Recraft also did a great job. Again, textbook candid shot. Both Flux Raw and Recraft get 100 points for this prompt. Next prompt is about side profile shot. Flux 1.1 Ultra nailed it and gets 100 points. Flux 1.1 Raw also did a fantastic job with enhanced realism in the shot. Also gets 100 points. I know there is a slight issue with the earring, but I will accept that as it is. Recraft also nailed it with side profile shot, gets also 100 points. Next challenge is about film still as a keyword. We are trying to find an image here where it feels like it's almost taken from a movie scene. Surprisingly, Flux 1.1 Ultra defaulted to animation here, and I don't really understand why, because I didn't really specify that. Theoretically, yes, it could be an animation film, but it's not exactly what I'm looking for. Flux Raw delivered a film-like aesthetic. There is maybe a slight bit of animation-like visual. I think it's just due to the reason that I mentioned Wolf and it automatically defaults to animation. I would normally say it's just a prompt technicality issue, but then I used same exact prompt for Recraft and it delivered quite a realistic looking shot. Could have been easily taken from a film scene, therefore 100 points goes to Recraft. The next challenge is about action shot. The mention of galloping here is very important because it needs to understand that subject should be on top of a horse galloping here. Flux 1.1 Ultra delivered the action shot, though we cannot really see a horse riding action in the scene. In this particular shot, the airbrush effect is a little bit annoying and it's way too much. It looks really like a stock image. Flux Raw understood galloping in a way that the subject is running. It's not technically wrong, but not really what we are looking for. Action shot though, I think it looks quite good aesthetically. It looks super realistic. If you scroll a little bit, you will realize we have some anatomical issues in the hand, holding sword, and we have anatomical problems with the eye and the face of the main subject. Recraft did a good job here, understanding that our subject must be on top of a horse galloping in the battlefield. Gets 100 points, minus deducting 50 points because we have both an anatomical issue with the hand holding sword, and if you zoom you will also realize that face also looks quite weird. Therefore in total Recraft gets only 50 points from this shot. Next challenge is about boosting photorealism and understanding which model delivers the most lifelike images. We will test a variety of different photography types and try to pick the most realistic looking image. Starting with portrait photography prompt, outcome from Flux 1.1 Ultra I think is fantastic. It looks really realistic with minimum amount of errors in the image in terms of anatomical errors. Skin realism looks fantastic. Overall, great job from Flux Ultra. Flux Raw delivered an extremely realistic result. Unfortunately, we have a strange looking kind of object merged with the subject's beard. That looks off, but realism is quite strong for Flux Raw. However, from my perspective, winner of this challenge is Recraft. I think it delivered the most realistic looking image. Skin realism is whole different level, and Recraft gets 100 points for portrait photography challenge. Next prompt is about product photography. We have a good result from Flux Ultra. I would prefer it to be on the surface, standing like every regular candle in the world. Aesthetically, it looks good, but it feels like dry plants will get fire soon. The Flux Raw almost created an advertising poster. It doesn't really look realistic to me. It kind of looks like more of a poster-like, from two different perspectives merged into the same shot. Difficult to say that it's gonna be a winner here. Recraft nailed it again with this shot. We are looking for a most realistic looking image among these three. From my perspective, this is the best. It also nailed the decorative elements on the candle itself, even though we are not testing prompt understanding in this challenge. Overall, it did a great job and gets the 100 points again. Next prompt is about fashion photography. The thing about fashion photography is you cannot really expect a hyper-realism for the models. It tends to default to more airbrushing and perfect skins. As a fashion photo, I think Flux Ultra did a fantastic job. It looks great. Flux Raw also did a great job and it looks really realistic. We could almost say that it's more realistic version of the Flux Ultra model, which makes sense, considering these are actually two different models focusing on two different kind of style. Recraft had some issues with the face anatomy. The bone structure and the face structure looks completely off. We have also other issues with the anatomy here as well. Therefore, would get disqualified here. I think 100 points goes to Flux Raw here from realism perspective. Though I really like the Flux Ultra shot here. I think it's a textbook fashion photo shot and did a great job. I was really in between, but I will give 100 points to Flux Raw. Next prompt is architecture photography. To be exact, it's more about interior architecture. This is outcome from Flux Ultra. I think did a great job here. This is outcome from Flux 1.1 Raw. It took again realism to next level. And here's the result from Recraft. If this challenge would be about prompt understanding, I would probably go to the direction of Recraft here again because it nailed the dark tones as well as green in the architecture color palette. It understood everything. But since it's about photorealism and since I see some issues with the accuracy of details on the Recraft part, I think most realistic results comes from Flux Raw again. It nailed it. And Flux Ultra shot feels like it's taken from IKEA catalog. It feels managed and it feels like a stock image. Therefore, 100 points goes to Flux Raw. Next prompt is about macro photography. Flux Ultra did a fantastic job with this. It feels like it's taken from a National Geographic magazine. As intended, Flux Raw delivers enhanced realistic version of exactly what Flux Ultra delivered and completely nailed it. On Recraft side, I would say this is more of a close-up than macro shot. I'm a little bit missing the details of texture of the lizard, especially in comparison to what Flux models delivered. I think it's not the best result. Winner for this prompt challenge is Flux Raw again. Next prompt is about documentary photography. I really liked the Flux Ultra result. It delivered realism quite well. The hair, the skin, the outfit, everything's looking great. Flux Raw took this prompt to a different level of realism. This really feels like this shot is taken from a documentary film. It's just nailed it completely. And I think Recraft also did a very good job. I see quite teeny tiny issue with the ear anatomy here. But when it comes to photorealism, Flux Raw did the best job among all three from my perspective. Okay, let's take a quick look at the intermediate results. For cinematic and photorealistic challenges, Recraft is leading at the moment with slight difference from the Flux 1.1 Raw being the second place and Flux Ultra is in the third place in my tests. For illustrative challenge, I will be testing only Flux Ultra versus Recraft because Flux Raw as a model is not intended for this kind of illustrative mediums like oil painting, digital illustration or 3D render. Flux Raw is more intended for photorealism. Therefore, we will compare Flux Ultra to Recraft. Our first challenge is oil painting. Here's the result from Flux Ultra and result from Recraft. you will realize Recraft automatically defaults to realism again, whereas in this challenge only Flux Ultra actually delivers the oil painting. The Flux Ultra is clear winner here. I want to emphasize that for Recraft, I used the raw model, that their default model is set here, and I specified that I want oil painting in the beginning of my prompt, but it still defaulted to realism. For the record, on Recraft, I tried to change style as well, with the hope that maybe I will get a better oil painting. And when I switched to illustration, the result got improved, but this is still not an oil painting. On the other side, on Flux, it was enough to just write oil painting to the beginning of my prompt. Next prompt is about digital illustration. Here's the result from Flux Ultra and result from Recraft. I think this can be a little subjective, but I like the result from Flux Ultra much more in comparison to Recraft. We can consider both results are digital illustrations. I'm visually much more impressed with Flux Ultra result here. Next prompt is about hand-drawn ink art. The Flux Ultra result, it's so beautiful and it's such a nice artwork. The Recraft image looks really hand-drawn. I am really impressed by how natural this looks. So I would say Recraft is the winner here, but Flux Ultra result is also fantastic. Probably we could say that tail is off here, but that's a small mistake. Last prompt is about 3D render. Here's the Flux Ultra result, and we have Recraft result. I would claim that here, Flux Ultra result is much more closer to a 3D render. You could easily see this as a video game asset. There is strong influence of dark fantasy, versus the Recraft image looks medieval. I cannot fully get the dark fantasy here. I think Flux Ultra is the winner for this prompt. I added points for Flux Ultra and Recraft for illustrative challenges as well. The last thing I want to talk about is price comparison. Price is very important for us. Both Flux Ultra and Flux Raw cost 6 cents per image on file.ai. I haven't checked all providers, but I'm guessing it's around the same price. On Recraft side, when you sign up to their platform, they give you 50 credits per day. Every image generation costs around 2 credits. Therefore, per day you have allowance of 25 images. This means you can generate 25 images per day. I think it's a very good offer, and this is only for a free package. Of course, if you buy a subscription, you can generate much more. I think this is a good price for a capable model like Recraft. When it comes to ease of use comparison between models, I didn't observe a major usability issue with Flux models. It's very straightforward. It's really easy to generate something. On Recraft side, I think their website looks a little bit complex and it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But my main issue was particularly around style selection. The style selection makes a huge difference on the final outcome, and it kind of makes things a little bit complicated. In most of the images you want to generate, it's gonna be probably enough to just choose their raw model and specify the medium type that you want to generate. Can be a photo, can be a cinematic image, whatever. It's gonna be enough. But if you want to generate something more illustrative, you need to be very specific about your style choice. Otherwise, it will default to realism in the raw model. For illustrative mediums, I think this creates a slight friction because on Flux side, for example, it's enough to write the medium type to the beginning of your prompt, and model is smart enough to understand which style you need, and it automatically delivers you that. If you wrote oil painting, it will bring you oil painting. After cross-checking results and my grades with a novice-level user to minimize my bias, here are my final thoughts. For realistic-looking images, Flux 1.1 Raw and Recraft shows superior performance. However, if you want images look like taken by a real camera, Flux 1.1 Raw is much superior. There is no competition on that. However, surprisingly, Recraft comes really close. For illustrative art mediums, Flux 1.1 Ultra is superior to Recraft. If you want to generate more artsy kind of images, it's also much easier to generate them with Flux. I observed Recraft has issues with distant faces. Faces look distorted, but it's difficult to say that this problem is unique for Recraft. I observe this distant faces problems all the time with all image generators. However, looking at the result and final grading, And considering price performance, I conclude Recraft as a winner of this prompt battle. Hopefully this video was truly helpful for you. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe for more in-depth tutorials. If you want to learn more about AI-enhanced creativity, click here.